Good morning and good afternoon, everybody.
Good morning, Alison.
Good to be here.
Good morning, Allison.
Morning, Sindrel.
So we're gathering in eternal knowing.
Ooh.
And it was just together, each of us searching for that, for our eternal wisdom. That's always available to us.
Mm-hmm.
When we can turn down what's happening out there and in here.
So it's like redirecting into to create a flow. Yeah, in order to prevent a crash.
And so these three experiences out there, in here, and eternal. Look, that eternal's not out there either. It's the eternal that's internal.
Mm.
These three guide our journey of life. The first one, out there, shows us the world's reflections. It's like, how does the world respond to how we are showing up in the world? The second, which is in here, invites us to take responsibility for it. And the third, eternal, grounds us in our truth.
Wow.
When we align with these three voices, we move through life with greater clarity, compassion, and peace. Whereas,
so powerful.
Yeah, where the world becomes not something we react to, but something we create from within.
Wow.
Oh, here we'll call it the symphony of awareness.
Mm.
It is so creating a symphony using out there, in here, and eternal is a metaphor for engaging deeply. So the symphony of awareness, the conductor. What would the what? Oh, and look, the conductor represents the eternal energy. They're guiding, they're harmonizing, and they're holding the space. Isn't it like the conductor? Now, all of them, like all three, have their eternal as well. But in our connection metaphor, it's like the conductor is the wisdom, like knows what to do, knows how to pull the best out of the players. The orchestra. So the orchestra represents the in here, the inner world playing notes, stories, and emotions. And the audience represents the out there, the external world observing and reacting. Life is a symphony, and each of us plays multiple roles. Sometimes we are the conductor, harmonizing the chaos.
Or harmonizing the masculine, feminine.
Yeah.
Because, like in music, the high notes are the feminine and the low notes are the masculine.
Mm.
So we need both, and then in order to make music.
That's right. And it is how you make music is by moving notes, right? It's like, because if you play the same note all the way through, it's music, but not many people would stick around for it because there's no change.
So the 3 points supporting each other creates. Wow.
Continue.
That's
Sorry,
so
I
good.
didn't. Yeah. So all three working together create what was the word you were using?
It's the magic tree, the triangle, or
Yeah.
it's called so many things. Body, mind, spirit, or father, son, so on. Plus, minus, neutral. Whether in science or in religion, they call it different things, but it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a holy trinity.
Yes. So in the life is our symphony. to play. The external world acts as our audience, reflecting back our performance. And there's always expectations in that between the audience and the player. It's different for every player. It's just reflecting back our performance, and how we relate to it matters, because that's the in here part. Do we let that out there affect in here? If so, we are playing a victim role. It's just reflecting back our performance. And we take that very personal when we start out, when we're beginning. This is beginning awareness. Our beginning awareness starts with, it's just reacting to what's out there. That is what we learned as a child. We learned nothing more than that. And so much more, right? It's like, I'm not putting down that we didn't learn anything, that we're not smart. It's just, we did it by just coupling to what was to the world out there. And we just did what we could do with our inner world to make sense of it, which is just the music of our thoughts and emotions. But here's the key, is that they were the result. They were the response of what the audience was doing. And still, there's this timeless wisdom, the eternal, that was always offering a perspective that we may or may not be tuning into. The journey to harmony begins with listening. First to what's loudest, and then to what's deepest.
I would say to listen and to feel.
Yeah. Listening and feeling, and it's like aware of the in here. Like the in here is the medium of it, right? It's the making the meaning.
Yes.
Remember, the eternal voice is always available. It's that silent hum. It's not silent, but it's very quiet, powerful hum. It's like your core, reminding us that we are more than the circumstance. The in here reveals our patterns, our automatics, our defaults. And this is a space for us to step into self-awareness and choice. The out there is information. It's a mirror. It's a mirror of what's unresolved within us. So the world, the audience, right, is revealing information to us of what we have unresolved. Because if something out there hooks me, right, hooks me, it's only because I've got something inside of me that's related to that. So it's just showing what's unresolved for me. So that's the first awareness, is seeing, like, how am I relating to what's out there? That is the path to awareness and freedom.
It's just that sometimes, the challenge seems so big,
Mm.
like when we stand at the bottom of a mountain and look up, it just seems impossible to
Right.
cross over it.
Yeah.
Right. That's just one perspective of it too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But it
Yes.
doesn't take away the overwhelmness of it.
Mm.
And that's the out there. It's like, oh, out there I see a mountain, right? Out there I see this mountain. And then in here, like, what do I think about that? In here, it's like, what is that? And it's like, oh, the feeling, like, in here's the feeling. That's our power in here. It's like the magic, the feeling. It's like the feeling of that is, oh, I'm overwhelmed with the size of that mountain.
Mm.
So overwhelmed is just the internal pattern you created to resolve,
Right.
like to manage your world.
So true. Yeah.
And when we begin to name it, like if it's overwhelm, we'll see that what we notice is that overwhelm is in it becomes we'll notice that it plays a lot of the time.
Yep.
And what's interesting is that it appears to be all different. So that's like where the chaos comes from. It seems to be all separated and all because we don't look at how they are all connected.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And if you look at it, there's not very many patterns that we have.
We often miss that connective tissue.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, and we don't. Part of it's like it just happens. We don't know that it's happening. We can't see it happening. We don't see people's neurons lighting up, right? But in a way, we do. But we don't actually physically see it unless we are in a lab.
Mm.
But that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen.
No.
And like, here's an interesting study I read is that even if you forget a short-term memory, it's built into the long term. So it's a parallel path. They're not related on each other.
Wow.
That's very interesting.
It blew scientists away when they studied this in mice.
Mind blowing.
How the hell did they do that?
They create a pattern.
Mm.
And they watch the behaviors of the mice that got scared in a dark room, that in the short term they were able to erase that they blocked that short-term memory in a way. I'm sure it was drugs, right? They blocked the short-term memory. So in the short term, within an hour later, that mouse went into that dark corner like before. But they found days, weeks later, is that mouse would come into it and it would hesitate. They observed it hesitate. It wouldn't go in there like it did before. So it was like they said, oh, that's got to be a long-term memory. Right? Isn't that what threat and fear does? Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
And that threat and fear is telling us of what's out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's nothing but respect for the mechanism.
Yes.
You don't have to be very, let's see. It doesn't take much effort to make a child.
I mean, the yogis say, our bodies are a collection, a conglomeration of memory.
Experience is another way. It's like memory is like the memory of the experience. That is the collection.
Yeah, but it's also, yes, it is of experience, but it's experience also that you yourself might never have had. It's present in you. It's not necessarily related to this lifetime at all. That it is related to your lifeline. Or how can I say? So it's not related to this specific incarnation, but it is related to, it's related to your karmic line. Which can include your DNA. So, one guy always says, you might never have known your great-great-grandfather, but you've got his nose on your face. And genetics isn't necessarily the same as
energetic.
Yeah, that's a good word. That's a very good word.
What fills up the space between in the cells? The energy.
Yes.
And so it's like the eternal. The eternal is the one that continues.
Yes. And Okay, so the eternal continues and what you sculpt with your life.
That's right. With this one we have today, we're just adding on to what the eternal has brought us this go around.
Yeah.
And every time it was like fundamentally, you could say every time it was our relationship with out there, in here, and that eternal knowing.
Yes, totally.
I just am so grateful that that word, like Sindril, you had that awareness to question eternal. It's like that was the missing piece.
It was.
And so it's like not only did Sindril find the end for it, but then she also brought to the opening, which is the pause.
Mm. Mm.
Pausing the reaction. Boop.
Mm. Mm.
Boop. Boop.
It was a oop. It was like bumping into a stranger that's familiar.
That's called that was a wonderful example of deep listening. Right? Because she got her word, and then she wondered if it was the same as yours. She didn't wonder whether it was right or not. She held her word in equal consideration. That, for me, that's really deep awareness.
And understanding these three mechanisms allows for deeper awareness.
Totally.
So in that awareness, we can notice when we are caught in the out there, reflect what's going on in here, and ultimately ground ourselves in the eternal, for the always forever lasting truth. The eternal truth versus our experiential truth, this lifetime truth. Good morning, Joe.
Morning, Joe.
Hey guys.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Good to be with you.
We are exploring the three mechanisms, maybe three voices, guides, experiences in our life. And these are the out there, in here, and eternal.
Oh, very, very nice.
That's I find a very powerful framework for what are we gathering? It's like that. It's like we're gathering awareness of those three. So our silence this morning was just to experience the eternal inside of you.
Mm.
Very nice discussion to walk into.
Good way to wake up.
Morning, Joe.
Yes. Grand Rising.
I'm just thinking about the connection between sleep and awake, night and day, and how the one informs the other.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm still stuck, Allison, on the body is memory and how I look like my great grandmother and didn't know her, but I am a reality of her. That's eternity right there in my face, right?
I mean, that's why so many of the Aboriginal traditions are considering the 7 generations before and the 7 generations after.
Mm-hmm. And I instantly say, why 7? But really, I feel like I'm I'm still exploring the comprehension of 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yes,
Like,
I'm laughing because
Well,
I agree, Sandra.
in really, you don't have to look any farther than just one to understand it.
True.
yeah, because it goes out to infinity in all directions.
That's
Yeah.
and and if you think about it, it's like if we're going to track back to our grandparents, right? Let's just go 2 generations, grandparents. So we have our parents, grandparents, and so there was how we perceived our world was due to our parents.
Mm.
They influenced it.
Mm.
We chose it, but influenced is what the environment around us, that's the out there. Well, then we look at our parents and it's like, well, our parents were children too that had parents that were in the same thing. And my grandparents, their parents, created their structure. So do you see how we've just passed on our structures?
Mm-hmm.
And then the memory of that is also through it. It's like, it's just, and then the DNA aspect of it, it's like, I mean, I don't have hair because of them on my head, everywhere else, but not on my head.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like all of it. It's all of it. Yet to understand it, we have to separate it.
Mm.
Okay, so, but in the knowing of the structure and the power of tapping into the eternal co-creative true nature of ourselves, you can have hair.
Yeah, maybe next time.
Yeah.
Break the cycle, right?
Yeah.
Just because you want it, but you didn't know not to want it, so you didn't create that. But maybe the next time you'll go, oh, I'm having hair for eternity.
Yeah, I gave it to like I passed it on to my son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, for now, he's got thick hair from the wife.
Mm.
My daughter's carried on mine, thinning hair, which I got from my mom and my dad. Yeah, it was like, okay, see, well, but not her side. Her side's got full hair. Yeah, put the two together. It would just become like if hair matters, then we're better. Like the importance of it has worn off over the year. I guess that's why we lose it.
Mm.
Evolution's always playing.
Mm.
And it doesn't have to always that it matters. It could just be a prerogative too, right?
Evolution doesn't
You
give a shit.
chose. Hmm?
Evolution doesn't care. Evolution's all about survival.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we try to explain it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But we do influence it, Jesse.
Yeah. He influenced it with his wife, his having the baby with a son who now has genealogy that carries thicker hair. It's a
Mm-hmm.
prerogative.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all internal. That attraction to mate.
Oh boy, does he make sure his hair looks good too when he goes out. Right? See that out there? It's like, oh, let me put it on out there so out there sees me. So what does the audience say? What do I want the audience to say? That's what's going on in here.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you've got a disgustingly beautiful head of hair.
Even my avatar does. And I had to put some on there because it was just too much, without it. It's like, yeah, I got to put it. So I even got more. I got more hair on my avatar.
Even when you were also talking earlier, Jason, you said, we choose our parents. It's not we don't really choose them in the way that we think and experience choice. It's got way more to do. So you what you said to Sandrell was that evolution doesn't care, it's about survival. And it's very true because it's not personal. And so the way in which I'll say, land up in the families that we are in, it's very, very dependent upon the level of awareness that we have when we've left a previous incarnation. And that level of awareness determines. So in that, it's a choice. Kind of, right? But it is. It's a co-collaboration. And that's the yoga understanding of universal energy, of which of which karma is a description of it. It's the name given. So what we do in this lifetime does influence the next, but it's not as simple, anywhere near as simple as what people speak to it usually. It's much more comprehensive than that. And that's why they emphasize that your own experience is what you use. And you can utilize knowledge as a way of giving you guidelines. But if you're going to only take the outside, in other words, and never integrate it into what you carry in your body, never explore it to be able to integrate it, you remain unaware. Essentially unaware, put it that way.
Mm.
And I think, and I was thinking about this last night, I think for me, that's why what we do in the mornings is so valuable to me. And why I see silence as the container for it. Why I experience silence.
I was playing with in here, out there as you were speaking, Allison, and respecting my that my internalness has done some maturing, has had more I've had more experience with it, especially on these calls. And I was double bubbling it.
Mm.
It's like more of a continuum instead of a separate thing. Like in here's in here and out there's out there. And it's where the continuum is one end or the and then the other. But double bubbling them that it is not this or that. It's one. So the bubble did bust because I was like, I got tickled that it was double bubbling. And but it's a sandbox to play in for me now. A new expansion has evolved.
And what's the process called when there's three?
The three chairs.
Yeah. You said the chairs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? They Yeah, and so yes, it is when you put two in there, you're double bubbling it. So we can put in here, out there, extra, like eternal, right? We can do all of those to just double bubble the thing. But out there, in here is the easiest one to deal with. And then if you include the eternal, the three chair, that's where the three chair, because the wisdom is the one that's guiding that process. Although wisdom's always guiding it, and part of it is always to invite the wisdom, the truth, the eternal, right, to guide, because that's where the shift happens.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the bringing it to the three chairs. Thank you.
The eternal is our superconscious. That's a word. It's a higher power. It's God. It's the voice. It's the universe. It's all. It's truth, universal truth, and it's very, very slimmer, smaller than what we think of truth. Because fundamentals, there's just very few fundamentals.
But it's, for me, is like I know that process, but without even facilitating the process, that's what was happening.
Exactly.
And I say maturing because I got a chance to actually recognize it for the double bubble and relate very quickly to the super consciousness. Eternal. Okay.
So it's like all those processes, right? They're structured to get people to reveal certain things about themselves.
Yeah, I just had a breakthrough there. That was a good breakthrough for me. Thank you.
and we don't have to tie all the foo-foo bull BS to it because it's just structure. People tie that BS foo-foo stuff to it so they can charge more. Which then goes, they're not really there to help. Yeah, knowledge costs to acquire. I have nothing against that.
You got to pay attention.
I'm sorry, Joe.
You've got to pay attention.
Yeah. To me, that would that align with listen?
Knowledge not being free.
Like free comes with all sorts of things. Like there's currency, there's time, there's money, there's lost opportunity. And so,
But what I meant is, we pay with our attention.
yeah, good point. Yeah, which is our energy. That is the true currency. Our currency, money, or service, or however, whatever good word is. And that's why I prefer to use conductor over coach. And so just search your eternal. Is there anything left to say, discover, explore?
I think for me, it's again just to keep on remembering how much I can do with awareness. And I think almost appreciating, or not almost, but appreciating how the link that there is for me now between a negative experience being almost like a trigger or an activation. It's an activation for me to go directly into pause, much more than going deeper into the negative experience.
Mm. The power of the pause elicits, where does the power lie? What appears to be the negative is but an experience, but the power of the pause is seeing it as it can be seen instead of
Yes.
integrating with it and giving it your power, like you're thrown off and it all of a sudden has your power because you're triggered and you're responding to it. But the power of the pause says, I see you. I retain my power and I choose to engage with wisdom and choose that engagement being no engagement, if that's what I choose.
Mm-hmm.
And is it negative? Is it really negative? Or is it your Typhoon Master just keeping you up on your toes so that when something else comes, you don't get hijacked? It's just an opportunity to practice your higher self of self-empowerment.
Mm.
And I think a certain, resilience, conditioning occurs when we can be aware. And is it really when a trigger becomes not a trigger, but a sensation, a sensitivity of awareness?
Mm.
Sometimes for me, when I'm fired off, like my internalness is like, like something's happening. It's the reframing, like going out on stage and it says, oh, I'm so nervous, I'm so nervous, I'm so nervous. And it's like, no, what I'm feeling is I'm so excited to share what I have to share, or I'm so excited to experience a trigger and feel the tantalization of what could be the fright or flight label. relabel to, ooh, okay, I can stand and stay in my power and choose. I can pause and choose. You build up a certain conditioning of empowerment. And through that, being able to, no matter what is going on, be able to honestly stand in love.
Mm.
Mm. Wow.
Mm. Pretty good.
Yeah.
And that choosing, when we, like, the pause isn't, oh, how can I say this? The pause deepens. Like a space that you go into in that pause.
Yes. So here I liken it to going to a museum and seeing a piece of artwork that you just stand into too. Yeah. Yeah.
And that feeling of just dissolving into it, right?
Yes. Yes.
I do love that. And for me, that's where we meet our intuition.
Mm. And allow the space to have relationship with intuition.
Mm.
If I had a word for the day, it's relationship. It keeps coming to me. To have a relationship with silence, to have a relationship with super consciousness,
Mm.
to have a relationship with the other chair.
Mm.
Because I can relate to the fact that for an expansive amount of time, they were in my existence zone, but I didn't have a relationship with it at all. It had a relationship with me, but I wasn't reciprocating it intentionally with awareness and engagement.
It's what is your relationship like with the out there?
Mm.
It's a good, really, really good question.
Mm.
It's much a reflection of our relationship with ourselves.
Yes.
Yes.
It's that mirror, right? That mirror. It's mirroring back to us an image. Whether we like or dislike it.
Mm.
That's the relationship. It's just based on patterns of how we see it.
Mm-hmm.
So it says to our journey through awareness starts with what's loudest first. And when we move through that towards silence, then we can get to the depth. And the depths is through the eternal, through the wisdom, the truth. The eternal knowing. That everyone knows they have access to. Anytime, any moment. So is your eternal knowing out there or in here?
That's so good.
I think it's a system. Could it possibly be a system? I think it is. Because the out there is really feedback for how I'm internalizing and creating from in here.
And so what you find is like mm, the out there is just made up. Because it's how we're relating to what we see out there.
Mm.
How we're perceiving it. Oh, it looks like this. So then it must be that. That happens so quickly. That's the power of the pause.
Mm.
It's like, yes, someone out there pokes you. Yeah. They did something to you. But it's like this system had to work together. Like you said, Cinderella, it's like it's all part of the whole. And what happens is that we forget what we did beforehand to get that finger poked at us. Because we're innocent. I mean, if anything, all the time, we do the best. We are our best. We know that that's not always true, but when we're comparing or judging others, we are definitely never wrong. That's our tendency anyway. That turns to be our tendency. And that just shows to me the depth of awareness around between out there and in here. Another word that I've used before, it's like it's whether we're given our power to it out there or our power in here. Because if the world out there is doing it to you, quote, that role is a victim. So you are fulfilling a victim role that the world is doing it to you. And there's like, how do you get out of that? If you're a child that made up you're a victim in this to outside circumstances, do you get out of that? Yes, you can, but not the same way. That's the insanity. And so I can hear in people when I'm causing them problems. Am I really doing that to them? Or are they doing it to themselves? I mean, what's the best, like which one is better? One's unresolvable, one's resolvable. So whichever one you want to be in. The unresolvable eventually will resolve itself. So like there's no, like you don't have to worry about that, but you will when it starts to happen. Because it will happen. Your eternal will not put up with unresolvable forever.
Yeah, that's very true. It's interesting.
It seems to come back around as a lesson. What you haven't learned, let's do it again.
That's why it keeps showing up.
Yeah.
And what our tendency is to avoid it. So then we avoid it again, like distract away from it, not to go through it.
Because we fear the unknown, and yet it's not to be fear, but it's excitement to evolve.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the sadness of it.
Yeah.
So much more just around the corner, but you're not willing to look around the corner.
Yeah.
At this time, it's not a permanent. It's not forever. It's just at this moment.
And it's taking that step.
Yeah. And those that have taken this step understand it and can see it and know what's on the other side. But those that haven't, their fear is too great.
Avoiding judging is a big step.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It's being paralyzed in your own power. Being paralyzed in your own power to take the step.
That's right.
And it's because we don't know. We know, but don't know the experience of what's around the corner. Like sometimes we're afraid to know, to find out that what we know is around the corner is actually around the corner.
Mm.
Well, and the thing is that we expect it to look a certain way. And so we get frustrated when it doesn't look how we think it should look.
Yeah.
And we call that we think that's creating. It is, it's a very limited creation. You're basically saying, I want it to show up like this. Eternal, this is how I want it to be. I know better than you.
Yeah, that's the phrase that came to me.
Huh.
So what's the better way instead of coming out like that? What's the better way? What's the reframe? What is it?
It's the listening for me.
The no expectation. You're always excited and surprised when there's no expectation.
Yes.
I'm seeing a cartoon now. Like a figure like right on the wall of turning the corner and not turning the corner, just leaning up against the corner stone building and just tipping a little foot around the corner and bringing it back, and then stretching the arm out, hugging the building, like what's around the corner. It's like being up on a ledge and at the corner and being real careful. I don't want to move because I don't want to fall, but I can't stay here. So let me the there's a I perceive there's a window or something somewhere to get me off this ledge, but sometimes we stay paralyzed on the ledge because we don't know what's around the corner, or we're afraid that what we perceive to be around the corner, or should we want to be around the corner, isn't there. Then we will have wasted those steps, that energy, perhaps in the wrong direction. But we'll never know if we don't go around the corner. Around the corner. Mm.
So here's the other bit of logic that came to me now too, was that when we enter into exploration internally, we're exploring the language of the body. And that is a bit different to exploring the language of the analytical mind. And once again, we need both, but the body is the instrument for our perception, not our mind. And our world is shaped by our perception. And that is the logic of why meditation was developed, engaged with.
And when you think about exploring the fear, going into it and through it, thinking about Sandral's image of somebody needing to go around the corner.
Go as far as you can see, and then you'll see a little bit further.
Beautifully, simply put, Joe.
When your attitude's right, the facts don't count.
Hmm.
It's been beautiful listening to you guys talk as I move through my brainwave states into the awakened state I am.
Good to be with you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you guys. I love you, all right?
You, Joe.
You all have a blessed day. Love and hugs.
Bye.
So blessed, man. So blessed that this is like, obviously I don't come every day, but to know that it's on every day. And this space is being here and it's being held. Yeah, it's really, really magical. So thank you. Thank you for all being here, guys. Thank you for being you. And thank you for being out there in the eternal for me.
Mhm.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you for your presence, all of you.
Mhm.
So much gratitude.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. Have a blessed day.
You too.
Stay blessed. I love you
Bye,
all.
everybody.
Love you.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, Heinz.